Hi, I'm Sean with Sean's Tech Blog, author of a small little ebook. I'm going to put a shameless plug here. Uh, the Long Way into Tech. You can find it on Amazon. I'm here with Kevin Apolinario. I'm glad he's agreed to do this interview. I've been following him for a long time. Uh, watching some of his YouTube videos. Has long big platform. So I'm going to go straight right into the question, Kevin. So how did you get into IT, and did you struggle at the beginning? Like, did you struggle at all?
Yeah, Sean, thanks for having me here. First of all, I really appreciate you for having me here. When I first started IT, I did struggle because there's a lot of information, and you hear a lot of different things from everyone. Like, oh, do this, do that, do this, and then just like I don't even know where to start because everyone gives you different advice for different things. So I actually went and actually learned about CompTIA A plus through military veterans. So long story short, I'm a big gamer. I love video games. I'm a big gamer. I love Counter
Okay.
Strike Source, Left 4 Dead 2. There's a lot of video games I play on Steam, and I actually learned about A plus through the veterans. I had veterans that are from retire from the war in Iraq, and they told me about the A plus, and I'm like, was that like a grade or no? No, Kev, A plus to get fundamentals. So I ended up doing the A plus by going to a school where I actually learned about the CompTIA A plus, and I got certified, learned about operating systems, learned about hardware, learned about networking, learned about TCP/IP, and that actually made me well rounded in fundamentals. Which actually, if you put two and two together, like I'm talking about, like the fundamentals, and then we actually get a job, it makes more sense because you have a basic understanding. So when I actually got my first job working for the Department of Education, it made a lot more sense for me. I was not overwhelmed. At the beginning, I was overwhelmed because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. But I spoke to the veterans, and they were like really, really awesome, and they really, really cool. Like those are the guys that I like to talk to and work with. I work a lot with veterans for a company called Boots to Books, but that's besides the point. I love those guys because they're very helpful, and they told me, oh, what year A plus, and that's literally how I got started in IT, learning the basics. So hopefully that answers your question.
Oh, yes, it does. I'll do follow-up questions. Were these veterans that had IT roles in the military, or just veterans in plain?
These are military veterans that had IT. It's both IT roles in working in the army, and I had some of them that actually had IT roles working in the public sector. So
So veterans can check that out. I assume it's for helping with books and getting certifications. I think, right? Books for vets.
boots to books.
Boots to books. Yes.
Yeah.
And then, so breaking into IT. I know you've been probably asked this many times, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think certifications alone are enough? Why should someone focus on what should someone focus besides certs, and what skills actually get someone hired? And I know it's three questions, but they're kind of related, I think.
Uh, so people are they may or may not like my answer, but it's like I tell everyone like a certification is great. It's gonna get you the interview because the HR person requires a certification. A lot of these jobs that you apply to, some of them require certifications. We're talking about like, for example, like Department of Defense, right? You require A plus, or D plus, Network plus. They require it. So a cert, at the end of the day, a cert is not going to teach you everything. That's like physically impossible. Like talking about like the A plus in general, like that's just an example. Like that is just multiple choice. Anyone can memorize and answer any question, right? So you have to get hands-on training. So I'm always going to recommend you want to supplement your A plus or whatever cert you get with hands-on training. So like if let's just talk about help desk. If you're applying for a help desk role, you're obviously going to need Active Directory experience. So a lot of people don't know how to get that type of experience. How am I going to put that on my resume? So I always tell everyone, oh, Microsoft Azure gives you a $200 credit. AWS also gives you credit. GCP gives you credit as well. So you could set up an instance of Server 2022 or whatever you want to set up, and then you can install Active Directory from scratch. And then you just shut down your instance or, delete your instance when you're done, because obviously they're going to bill you after that. But I know for Microsoft, it's good for 30 days. You get $200 credit. So you want to get hands-on training with everything. The cert helps, but also hands-on training is important. And then also, to be honest with you, also being on LinkedIn is important too. Like trying to put yourself out there to show people what you're working on and what you're doing. There's a lot of hiring managers go on LinkedIn and they look at that. And if you show that you're actually studying, learning, you're doing stuff, people will look for you and find you and give you a job if they see what you're doing on LinkedIn as well. So that's how that's my approach. Get hands-on training. So for help desk, hands-on training, Active Directory, learn about Office 365, and Office 365 admin is free for 30 days. You can learn about Exchange admin, Teams admin, OneDrive admin. So you'll have that experience you can add on your resume. And then Dual is also another app, which is for multi-factor authentication. That's free. So you can learn about MFA for free. And then you have your MDM, which is mobile device management, and that will be free with Moz 360. So yeah, you have all these things that you learn, you put it on the resume. On top of that, you supplement it with the A+, and then you can start applying for jobs. But you want to make sure that that resume is mostly tech related, right? It cannot be not tech related. And then you can start applying for jobs after that. So that it's a lot. It's very involved. It's like that question is very involved because you got to get a cert, then you got to get hands-on training. Also, you have to be good at interviewing, and they also have to be good on LinkedIn as well, by posting on LinkedIn. So it's a very involved thing to land a first job. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. Yeah. And so we're going to switch to what's something people don't want to hear about in getting into IT. And do you think the job market is harder now than before? I believe it is, but I'm going to ask you about that.
Yeah, the job market is definitely harder than before. And then to answer your first question, a lot of people don't like to hear this, but I always get asked this question, like, how can I get a job where I don't have to deal with customers? So a lot of people want to skip like customer facing roles or like talking to people. But at the end of the day, no matter what job you get, I know a lot of people don't like working help desk because help desk, you deal with end users, you deal with customers, you deal with people screaming and yelling at you because their stuff doesn't work. At the end of the day, you're still going to deal with customers no matter what role you get in IT. It doesn't have to be help desk. It could be cybersecurity. You're still going to deal with CISOs, directors, CTOs, executives. You're still going to be talking to people. So you cannot avoid soft skills. That's just the reality of jobs in IT. You have to be good at talking to people. You cannot avoid that. That's just like that's the new norm now. I know a lot of people don't like to talk to people, but that's the thing. And also a lot of AI has been going here left and right, like too much AI left and right, and that's been affecting the job market. So right now that people are still hiring, but the job market is a little more tense than before, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then let's get into what you provide, your services. What do you offer, and how should they reach out to you, and what can people work with you and learn from you?
Yeah, so I have KevTech Academy. I have some courses on my platform, but I also do coaching. I do one-on-one coaching, and people are probably gonna be like, "Oh, it's not like is it like you just go on a call with someone and talk to them?" No, I actually train you. So like the one-on-one coaching services that I provide, I actually physically train you on everything you need to know for a job. And then I also do mock interviews, and I also prepare you for the job interview. I provide all that under my coaching services, and I also give you a kick in the butt if you're not doing the work. Like I literally like, hey, come on, man, what are you doing? Why are you slacking off? So I have that service, but I also started a new platform called School. So in School, I have courses in there and I have a community in there. So I also have that going for me as well. And I have before I even sell anything, I always tell everyone, look at my website first with free resources before you pay or do anything with me. I don't want you to spend money first. So hopefully that makes sense.
Okay. And I do remember some of the stuff well, I'm in a different boat right now, but I do remember one of the videos is if you've been in help desk for 2 to 3 years or something like that, you should be looking at someone. But then I guess I've been doing a lot of contracts, but I do feel that sentiment. And then let's get into some other questions here. So, have you ever felt burnout?
Yeah, I have. I worked at a big financial firm. I remember I worked at a big financial firm and I was closing about 45 tickets a day. So I was extremely burned out in that job because I was closing that's a lot of tickets. So I was closing tickets. And the reason why I was closing 45 tickets a day is because I was the new guy. So as the new guy, all the tickets go to you first. So and I worked in a financial firm. The stress was super high, and the phone would not stop ringing. I had people call me over and over again. And I was like extremely stressed out. And I don't think I ever been that burned out in my life before. And I had someone that a mentee that I trained recently that I ended up getting a job in IT. He's been in this job for over a year. But same thing with him. He was extremely burned out and stressed out. I'm like, just take a day off. Literally just take a day off. So I ended up doing that too. I ended up just taking a day off. It was just ridiculous. Like you do get burned out in IT. That is a thing. So yeah.
And have you had to deal with job loss? I think I've seen maybe once or twice there with some of the cyber roles. How have you coped with job loss? In
Yeah,
between.
it was bad. Like and you're gonna be like, what? You're like, what the heck? Like, but it was bad because like I had a cybersecurity job and I got hit with layoffs and it really sucked. Like I couldn't do anything. But you know what's crazy about that, Sean, is the fact that I had a dream about it. So I had a dream that I was gonna get let go, and it
Ah,
happened. It happened the following day, which is crazy. If you think about it. So like I was dreaming that I was gonna get let go, and then I had this random invite on my calendar, and I'm like, what is this? It didn't have a name or anything. It had nothing on it. It just said, oh, meeting with Kevin or whatever. And I joined the call, and they're like, oh yeah, unfortunately, your team has been completely removed from the organization, so we don't need you anymore. So I got let go, and I was really upset about that. I couldn't do anything, and then um, that happened to me 2 times in a row. That happened to me again, and the second time that happened to me again, I had a dream about it again, which is crazy.
oh wow.
That's like very like it's strange. It's very strange. And then I got let go again, and then I was like really upset and annoyed about it. But it's just like you can't control the job market. You can't control your job either. So like I always tell everyone, um, put yourself interests first over the job that you're in, if that makes sense. So at the end of the day, they could let you go. I mean, and I'm not saying that all companies are bad. I'm just saying that you have to be careful with the job that you're in because they could let you go anytime. So that's just how it is. And that was my approach after I've had like go twice in a row. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do my job, but I'm gonna be very careful with everything because you never know if it could happen again, right? So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that really feels, put your interest first. And lesson learned on that one. I had a contract that was going to start, and I was going to supposed to take my dad to Tombstone. That was in 2019. A month later, he had, stroke or something, and then 2 weeks later, he passed. But I took a job with tech systems, and I think about that. I'm like, going forward, if you got family, you got something, that's going to come first. You never know how long. And I've been learning from that. So I work to live, not live to work.
Exactly.
That's my motto.
Exactly.
Um, so now I've hit like a spot where we're like bonus time. I don't know if you have the extra time. I just put it
Mhm.
for an hour, but if you have some extra time, I could throw some
Yeah,
more
that's for
questions
sure.
out to
Yep.
you. All right. So let's get into. We talked about tickets, right? Every organization is different. Here's the thing that we see on LinkedIn: adding value, right? Sometimes it's not well, it's kind of quantifiable, but I'm I get it. Some people say, do the percentage, and I'm thinking, well, I like to be kind of exact, right? Sometimes, yeah, you did so many tickets, right? That's easy to quantify, right? If you have, but sometimes you don't have a high volume of tickets because some of these tickets are just take a long time because you're waiting on a different department and
Mhm.
etc. Right? And then when you're adding value, you're not selling a car, right? You sold 10 cars, right, a month. But in help desk or desktop support, sometimes you're trying to make changes, but how do you quantify that? I would say on the resume sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you worked on. Like for me, I've done really big projects in my IT support job. So like I had a job where I actually have metrics because I had to move a whole department from one building to another building. So like in my previous one of my previous jobs, I had a customer that we just acquired, and it's like, oh Kev, you're gonna be there for 7 days, and I need you to move 250 people from building A to building B. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do that. And then if you put that on your resume, it looks really good actually. So like You say something like, "Oh, I migrated 250 users from we just acquired this organization, so we just moved 250 users from this site to that place." I have like you put metrics in there. Every job that you work in help desk or IT support, there's a metrics for everything. Like that's just one example. I had another example where I did a change control or change management, and I had to migrate 1,500 people to our new Citrix storefront. So I had that as a written part of my resume. So I'm putting numbers and percentages in there of what I've been doing. So it doesn't have to just be, oh, I closed 20 tickets per day or 30 tickets per day. Like it could be projects that you've been working on. Like what have you been doing? What value are you bringing to the company and the organization? Like what are you working on and what are you doing? Because at the end of the day, like you could close tickets, but like if you have free time, what else are you doing? So that's how I put it. Like because I had free time in one of the companies I worked at. So I ended up creating documentation on all the apps that we use. So I would make videos on those or create like PDFs on those, and I would put that on my resume. And then people will actually, when I go in an actual interview, people will ask me, "Oh, you created documentation for your organization?" I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Can you tell us more about that? And then I would just talk about that. So hopefully that answers your question. It's like a lot. It's a lot of stuff you could write on your resume.
I'm glad you touched on that because that goes back into knowledge bases in different places. I would use, Jira or something, create a knowledge base at a certain place. But some of it I didn't migrate when I left the company because it was their stuff or whatever. But it's a good idea that I guess to build on their portfolio, right? And then I need to work. That's what I need to work on: the videos showing proof of, oh, I know how to do this. I know how to install VirtualBox. I know how to work with Linux. I know how to do this. Still working on that, little by little. But wanted to touch on working with different departments, and I think I help desk now with AI, right? We're a dime a dozen, right? But I don't think we're all the same. And it's kind of hard, got to tread the line here. You can't talk negative, but we're not all the same, right? Some techs are, they're okay with what they do. Some techs you can't find them, their users can't find them. I don't know if you could touch a little bit on that. How to differentiate yourself and make sure, even if they do it a certain way, there's a right way to do end user support, right? Because one thing that bothered me is having a bunch of stuff in my queue. I got to clean my queue out. My queue's got to be cleared out, right? And then if I always have extra time, I'm creating a knowledge base. I'm doing that stuff. What would you say is a good work day? Making sure you're supporting the team and contributing to the team.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of stuff you could contribute to the team. Like one thing is like, please don't be lazy with tickets. Like a lot of people don't put what they did to close a ticket. So a lot of people close the ticket, but they don't actually put how they fixed it. So I have people that I know that I specifically know. I'm not gonna mention them, but I work with techs in the past where they don't write what they did to solve the issue, and then 3 months pass later. I asked that tech, and they don't even remember how they fixed it. So it's like, all right, I'm just starting from zero again. So like, if you're gonna do something, please write what you did to resolve the issue. That's one thing, and then the other thing for me is going to be like, if there's a specific process. I'm talking about like an in-house application. Like there's certain applications that people use are in-house. Like for example, QuickBooks. Let's just talk about QuickBooks, right? For taxes and stuff like that. A lot of financial people use QuickBooks, and there's a certain way of installing it, a certain way of getting licenses, there's certain way, there's a process to do something. Maybe make a documentation on that so that everyone else could see that documentation that's on your team, right? So it's all about adding value. So that's very important. And then also for me, obviously, if you really want to stand out as a human being, as a person, just be nice to the customers. The customers gonna get mad at you. Don't take it personal. Like they're gonna like you if you give them really good customer service. But you have to be really good. I have a restaurant background, so that's why I don't get mad or upset with the customer. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, it's just like whatever to me. While other people will get mad and upset. So you want to make sure that whatever you do, whatever job you work in help desk or IT support, they will remember you. So whatever you do, they're gonna remember you. It's a bad thing or a good thing when they remember you. So you don't want to be that guy that's like, oh yeah, don't call Kev. That guy sucks. That's a shitty tech. Don't call that guy. So your reputation follows you at the beginning of your career. Whether you do help desk, IT support, sysadmin, network admin, people will talk about you and people will gossip about you if you're a terrible tech. So you want to make sure you're a really good tech. That's very important as well. And also, you want to make sure that you're physically there. Like you tell them, listen, I'm here. I'm sitting at XYZ chair or desk or whatever. You need any help? Just come and grab me. I'll be more than happy to help you. And they will respect that. And you're adding value, like you're adding a crazy amount of value by doing that. And that's what actually helped me get a bonus in my job. I worked at an IT support financial from a very big company, $65 billion asset management company. And they gave me a bonus and a raise because I added value. So at the end of the day, you got to add value. So I did documentation. I provided great customer service. I never said no to anything. Like I said, oh, can you work on this, Kevin? We have other techs that don't want to do it. Like the worst projects that no one wanted to do, I picked them up. Even tickets that people did not want to do, I picked it up. Even in the most complicated tickets that no one wanted to deal with, I picked it up because it's a good opportunity to learn. Like maybe they can't fix it, but maybe I could fix it. And if I figure it out, then I'll just make a documentation on how I fix it. So you could add value a lot in IT. You just have to put yourself out there and do it, if that makes sense. So
And then I wanted to add to that you have to try to remember to translate that to your resume, which is kind of hard on a 1 or 2 page, but I guess that's where you add it in the portfolio. And then I wanted to touch about just a little bit about you saying, come over here, I guess with boundaries, like, hey, put in a ticket, or I I'm working on these, but I'll put in the ticket for you. I wanted to add that, right? Because that's sometimes end users assume that we're not working on anything, whether we're ready to work on whatever their issue is at the time. We have, because there's VPs out there, there's, you got to drop right away, or there's people that are down, right? You have to prioritize tickets, right? What's urgent. And then let's switch gears to IT, trying to get out of desktop support, trying to get out of help desk, right? And those titles can be interchangeable depending on the organization, what levels of responsibilities they give you. Are you just using Microsoft Active Directory? And then what is it, Azure Entra ID? I don't know why they changed the name. I think it's dumb, but it's like, just keep it simple. It was Azure Active Directory, and then they changed it, right? And then we still got the SCCM that they still use on the hybrid places for devices. These are some of the basic stuff, right? But how do you get out of that, right? How do you get out of that? You want to go into system administration or, network at the same company. You can try at the same company, right? But if there's nobody leaving, you're gonna have to look somewhere else, right? And then that's where I question some of these job descriptions, because they want somebody already with the experience. But how about you take a chance on somebody that, all right, they don't have it, but they're willing to learn. They got that cert for Network Plus, or they got that cert for something Azure, right? To become a cloud admin, right? A junior cloudman, right? But they want somebody already with 5 years, 7 years experience. And then it makes me question. So you want that person that's been that leaves one company to yours, but you want them to be loyal to your position. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to me how they do hiring, but I guess I want to go. But how do they try to position themselves to the company that they're at and say, "Hey, I want to go into IT admin," or if that's not going to work out, how do they start? Are they reaching out when they say networking? Or are they reaching out to other network admins and they're trying to put themselves out there? Hey, I'm looking for a new position.
Yeah, no, like for me is like like sometimes in a job you can't outgrow in a job. You try in the job you're in right now to see if you have an opportunity to grow. So it's, oh, can I study this, or would I be able to pivot over to this role or this job and decide that inside the same company? And some companies do not have that. So it's like, okay, I have to promote myself, if that makes sense. I have to leave and promote myself. So I really can't do much. So you have to find a different job. So I always recommend like getting the relevant search, getting the relevant hands-on experience. But some of the jobs that I know that people have gotten is through networking, through talking to people, going to conferences, putting themselves out there on LinkedIn, and they were able to escalate themselves to a better job, if that makes sense. So it's like it's hard to get a better job when you don't have that relevant experience. You have to know somebody, and that's literally how I got into like cybersecurity. It's just like, I knew someone. That person happened to be hiring, and they like, oh, give Kevin a chance, and they just like threw me in there. It was like, all right, let's see what happens. So you have to network. Networking is important. So I always go to like local meetups. I go to B-sides. I go to DEF CON. I go to all these crazy conference events because I always network. You got to network your way into a different job. You can't get that job. You just network your way into that job. So that's my recommendation. Also, like don't look at the job posting as always asking for all this experience. I can't get that job, and then apply anyway and see what happens. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I was a junior sysadmin for a financial firm, and they were asking for 10 years of experience, and I still got that job anyway. And I was there for a year and a half. So it's like you could like the job postings are dumb, but sometimes just apply anyway and see what happens and put yourself there and see what happens. If that makes sense. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Let's shift into these cybersecurity roles. So what kind of the stuff that tools have you been exposed to? Some are enterprise, some are open source tools. There's a lot of people going out to boot camps, which is not I'm not knocking school bad, anything, right? You're all going to have a different experience, right? That's what I talk about in my book, Building a Tech Career the Long Way. Plugging it again, because I have only one person purchased one, me. But there is a lot of tools out there. But now with AI, right, they're getting rid of the SOC level ones, right, where you're just looking at alerts and and then you're plugging in. But let's just start off with some beginner tools and a daily reflection when you did SOC level one.
Yeah. When one of the jobs I worked at, we use Microsoft Sentinel. So we use Microsoft Sentinel a lot, and we use Microsoft Defender for XDR as well. That was like one of the tools that we use a lot. And then a lot of these organizations, they use like KnowBe4, or they use InfoSec IQ. They use like these third-party tools to do social engineering training to customers. So I would use that tool. Like I had admin rights to that, and I would do phishing emails and campaigns for end users. And it was funny because I would mess with the customers because I know some of them have cats. So I would send like a phishing email as a cat to some of the users to see if they clicked on it. And then if you click on it, then you would get training on it. So that was like one of the things that we did. And then and the same thing with patch management. So we use Manage Engine, and I would do patch management for CVEs on every single machine on a certain day of the week. It wouldn't be like random. It would be like somewhere on a weekend at like 1 a.m. or something like that. Like where we don't bother the customers. So I have to do patch management as well. And with as far as my job is concerned too, we would do RBAC, which is role-based access control, and we would control and provision devices, or not devices, rather more like end users on what they do, because some of these customers, they want admin rights or they want certain rights to certain things. So Microsoft has identity access management control in there, so you could control like service accounts and then give someone access for a limited amount of time, and obviously it needs to be approved on the back end. And then once they approve it, then they have access for a temporary time, and then that's what's called just-in-time access. And then they just have access for a limited amount of time, and then their access is gone after that. So those are some of the things that I was doing in one of my first jobs. Obviously, there's way more than that, but also documentation, creating playbooks, educating end users or customers, and then that's it. Yeah. So that's amazing. I used CrowdStrike before in 701 as well, and a few other tools, but it's a lot. It depends. It depends on the company. So.
Okay. And then I was going to talk about escalating. Would you be escalating some of this? And was there any breaches or escalating where you thought it was a breach, or there was a false positive or a true positive? Any of that going on?
No, we didn't have any breaches. We did have like a false positive, and it was someone trying to open a file on their machine, and I got an alert about it, but it was false positive.
Okay. And what do you think some of the training people should be doing when they're they're trying to get into SOC level, right? Because there's the blue team, right? And just trying to work on those tools, the hack me, what's try hack me, or they merge, right? Try hack me and forgot what the other one. Whoever one bought the other one, right? Try hack me bought
Yeah.
uh
Yeah, like let's try hack me, let's hack the box. When I was brand new to cybersecurity, I tried the red team rooms. I didn't like it. I don't like red teaming. So I ended up doing the blue team rooms, and I like that. And I could do this in a job. And they give you like actual like hands-on training on what you'll do in a day-to-day life of a SOC analyst. So I ended up doing try hack me, and then I ended up creating a Microsoft account for Microsoft Sentinel and learn about that. Then I learned about Defender as well. I learned about that. So that's how I got some hands-on training. And then I looked at was it Qualys? So I looked at Qualys as well because Qualys is free training. And then Hack the Boxes training too. And there's a few other platforms that have training, but I was mostly doing those. And now super random, but now I'm doing training on Cyber Defender. So I've been doing blue team training on Cyber Defender, and they have a lot of like hands-on stuff like Splunk, Sentinel, um, how to look at PCAPs, how to look at alerts, things like that. So, I mean, those things should help. Like those are the things I would do if I was trying to learn about SOC, just to see if it's for you. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it is for you. You have to figure out whether you like it or not. Because, like I said, I tried red teaming. I didn't like it, so I switched over to blue teaming. I'm like, all right, this is for me. So.
and then I want to touch on the SOC level because with IT help desk and desktop support, sometimes it's easy to be like, this is the support in scope. This is what we support. It makes it easy, right? We're like, this problem is not our problem, right?
Yeah.
It's with the third party, right? How do you do that with SOC, or how did you guys differentiate where in scope of your responsibility and on your team with the SOC level that you were
I,
working?
I was super lucky because I have a very good relationship with my help desk team, and I have a good relationship with my sysadmin team. So the tickets will go around to everyone, and we would know which ticket goes to who based on the severity of the ticket and based on if it's a cybersecurity ticket or not. And then they will label it and assign it to me. And then some tickets I will label it and assign it to help desk. Like, this is not a cybersecurity ticket. Like, this is just a regular, like, reach out to the customer. They clicked on something, so just scan their machine, make sure they don't have anything malicious on it. We may have to lock down that machine because I'm not sure if they opened something by accident. So you may have to reach out to the customer, So my team that I'm in, everyone is super helpful, and everyone is like, I get along with the team. So there's no problems with anyone, even like the DevOps and programmers and people that are like every department. I get along with everyone, so we know what ticket goes where. I've been fortunate enough to be in a company like that, but some companies are not like that. Some companies are very disorganized, and there's like, okay, is this a good ticket, or is this a ticket for
Right.
help desk, or is it for cybersecurity? It depends where you work at.
So I want to talk about I want to go back to the conferences and talk about networking, but before that, I want to talk about shadow IT, right? How do you stop shadow IT, or where they're purchasing equipment, one department doesn't even know that they just added this to the network or this software, or there's other BYOD devices, bring your own devices. And I guess it's not, maybe it's not your role, but how do you bring up these ideas, bring it up if nobody's thinking about it, or they're really not talking about it, right? Because I remember when I was doing IT asset management, I'd be thinking, wait, this department doesn't know about this. There should be a central, but it's not always that way because the organization is loosely defined on a structure.
Yeah, no, like when I worked at a company. We were fortunate enough to have like the network admin team or the network team. Like whatever you plug something in on a network on a port, it would just disable it automatically. The ports would not be enabled for that specific device. I can't just I can't just grab my laptop, go into a building, and then plug it in on the network. It's not going to do anything because it's blocked. Our team in the network admin person would block it. But that's a discussion with your CTO. That's a discussion with your IT manager. That's a discussion with everyone on the team because you don't want people just randomly plugging things in. Also, you don't want people trying to onboard a device that's not allowed. So that's the reason why. Like I had this. This funny you mentioned that. I had this conversation with my mentee because he actually got his first job in IT, and like I said, he's been there for a year. Um, and his manager actually likes him because he brought this idea to him, what you're mentioning. And I told him, just do what I did. Just do what I did. In my previous job, one of my IT support jobs, I had everyone use the same machine. You're not allowed to use any other machine. You're only allowed to use that machine, and that's it. And if you want to use another machine, you're not allowed to use it. You have to speak to our manager or our CTO to use that other machine. It's not allowed. So you literally have two options in the Dell website to select two laptops. That's it. The reason why we do that is because of asset management. That's one. Two is I don't know what you're doing with that machine, and it's not our domain. I have no idea. I can't trust that machine. So why the hell would I plug it in on the network? And then three is I have two machines that I know what they are, what they do, and how they onboard it and everything. So you don't want to have random machines on the domain. That's the ideal for cybersecurity or IT, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then just follow up with that. Has there ever been a time where, or many times, where you have ideas, right? You're like, you want to improve something. Maybe you're like, maybe that's not right. We should do it this way. And then they either like it or maybe there was pushback. And how do you go about that? Trying to give a contribution, because everywhere I go, I'm trying to improve. It's just a bad habit. Maybe I have, or sometimes people say challenge the status quo, um, but I'll let you answer that.
No, it has happened to me. Like I had an issue where every time this is I don't know if you're gonna laugh at this, or is that funny or not, but every time the executives do a video call, it never works. It never works. So they do video calls, it never works. So it only works when I restart the room. I have to restart the whole VC room for it to work. So I reached out to the VC guy, the guy that handles that stuff, and he's like, "Oh no, it's supposed to work. There's no, I don't know what you're talking about. It works. There's nothing wrong with it." And I'm like, I have to restart the VC room every single time these guys get on a call. Why is that? And it's like, oh no, there's nothing wrong with the network. There's nothing wrong with the VC room. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, that's the only workaround. And he just got mad at me. Like I'm gonna explain it to him. He would get mad at me, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna ignore him. For now on, I'm gonna restart the VC room every Monday morning when I come in. Because when I restart the VC room on Monday, they never have any issues throughout the whole week. If I don't do that, they're gonna have issues through the week, and I'm gonna have a bunch of tickets about that or a bunch of complaints about that. So I just made it my responsibility to just restart the VC room every morning on Monday. So that's just my experience. Like I had issues like that. I had other issues where it's like a customer uses a specific product, like Adobe Creative Cloud, for example, and you cannot uninstall it. You cannot uninstall it unless you uninstall it on the back end on our back end, because we have applications that they just install automatically because of patch management or because the registry sets it that way, and I have to go on the back end and remove it from there first before uninstalling it on their actual machine. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, and I asked the sysadmins about it, and like, oh no, that's just, you have to deal with that, Kevin. That's not, you can't really do much. It's just like certain situations that you're in a job, you can't really do much. Like I always want to recommend like the best stuff ever for everyone, because I don't like doing workarounds. I hate workarounds. So if I have to do a workaround, I'm gonna be annoyed. That's just how I am. And then that right now we did, in my current job, we did have a workaround for a specific thing with a customer, and I'm like, it should not be this way. But thank God, like my manager and my CTO gets along with me. I actually got on a call with the vendor that works with this, and we ended up resolving the workaround. And now we don't do any more workarounds anymore. So, like I said, it depends where you work at, what company you work. Some managers and directors, it's just like, leave it alone, like let it, like it's messed up, leave it alone, right? But then some managers and directors, oh, let's fix this. Like this has to be fixed. But when I worked at a financial firm, before I give the mic back to you, before when I worked at a financial firm, there was no workarounds. No
Uh,
workarounds. There's zero workarounds. You would if you did a workaround, you would be fired for that.
uh,
It has to be fixed. If there's no way, the engineer cannot figure it out, that guy might get fired because it's supposed to work the way it's supposed to work, if that makes sense. Working in financial firms, a lot of red tape. So it's like if you're paying you hundreds and hundreds of dollars to be a developer or an engineer, it's supposed to work the way it's supposed to work, if that makes sense. So hopefully that answers your question.
seem very strict, the financial firms there. Um, and then I wanted to switch gears back to the networking at conferences. How do you do intentional networking? Like, I'm doing B-side San Diego the San Diego. I'm volunteering there,
Nice.
so I'm gonna. But because I'm volunteering, I get to be there. But this time I want to try to do the soldering. But how do you do some intentional networking? People that go to these B-sides. I like B-sides because that one's like nonprofit. The other ones cost probably a little bit more money than that, right? But how do you do intentional networking there? You just say, "Hey, I'm Kevin, and I'm looking in IT support," or how would you go about it? People looking for work.
You'd be very surprised with IT. Like I was at B-side San Francisco like last week, and people will go up to me and talk to me because they know me. But then other people that I don't know, I would just go up to them and talk to them. Hey, my name is Kevin. This is my first time in San Francisco. I've never been here in my life, but this is a great conference. What do you guys think about it? And then just talk to them, and we just start building a conversation after that. And they're like, do you hate printers as much as I hate printers? Yeah, me too. Yeah. Oh, I guess we're relatable. So
Uh,
I try to make it sociable and not awkward. At the end of the day, they're trying to make it awkward. But I had conversations with people all the time. Like, so what do you think of the conference? Like, did you check out that booth over there? I was on that booth like literally 5 minutes ago. They talked about AI and how to make their sim solution a lot quicker using AI. Like, I try to build a conversation with the person. Whoever I talk to, I build a conversation with them. And it was like that for me. Like in San Francisco, people were shy to talk, but as soon as you talk to them, they open up on you. Nah, there's no like, don't talk to me, you nerd. That's not a
yeah.
thing. It's like everyone's open. So
Okay.
you just gotta put yourself out there, if that makes sense. So
And then follow up, changing gears to people that reach out to you. That's hiring managers. Well, usually it's not a hiring manager, but sometimes maybe it's either a staffing agency recruiter or talent acquisition from a company, right? They reach out to you. In my experience, there's not a lot of relationship building, but how do you go about it? And when you're trying to network, or they're trying to network with you, and has that happened to you?
yeah.
Staffing agent recruiters reaching out or talent acquisition. There's a lot of what do you call that? Ghosting, right?
Yeah.
It's just to be expected, but
Yeah. No, I had recruiters reach out to me all the time and ask, oh, like what job are you looking for? Where do you live? What state you're in? Are you looking for a hybrid job? Are you looking for a remote job? Are you looking for an on-site job? How much do you want to get paid? So some recruiters are good, and then some of them suck. Not to be negative about it, but um to answer your question about recruiters, like I got two of my jobs because of a recruiter. I got my job in cybersecurity because of a talented acquisition. He saw I was looking for a job on LinkedIn. I posted I was open for work. And he reached out to me directly, and I ended up getting a job because of him. So don't knock them down. Some of them are not great. Some of them will ghost you, but some of the recruiters are good people. So like don't knock all of them down. They're not all bad. Some of them are good people. So hopefully that answers your question.
okay, and that switches into being, showing open to work or being visible on LinkedIn. How would you say people do that, right? Because some people don't want to be out there. I didn't originally want to be out there, but now I'm like, you know what? I went into it. Now I'm creating my brand, right? I got the Sean's Tech blog, right? But not everybody wants to do that. So how would you say people should be visible on LinkedIn?
Oh, you should be posting stuff that you're working on, stuff that you're doing. Like it could be anything. It could be, oh, I'm studying A plus, I'm studying network plus, I'm studying security plus. Um, you got to remember, and this is just something that I always tell everyone. You got to remember that someone's always ahead of you, and then someone's always behind you. So what I mean by that is basically like you're probably studying A plus, and you have free resources you could give out to study A plus that you could post on LinkedIn, right? So that's going to help you out because you're showing that you're studying A plus, but whoever is following you is going to help them out too because they're probably studying A plus too. So there's always someone behind you trying to do what you're doing as well, if that makes sense. So like if you're doing A plus, they're probably studying A plus. If you're doing security plus, they're probably studying security plus. So if you post stuff that's useful and helpful, and you become a resource on LinkedIn, people will like you, people will comment, and people will follow you. So be a resource. That's what I tell everyone. Be a resource on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be A plus. It doesn't have to be Nord plus. It does not have to be security plus. It could be a lab that you created or a lab that you work in. It could be a YouTube video. It could be a GitHub. It could be a Medium website. It could be a portfolio. It could be anything IT related. And it does not have to be IT related either. It could also be like, oh, listen, I took a break from IT. Today I went for a walk. I did 10,000 steps. I went for a walk. Obviously, IT is important, but also your health is important. You know, it doesn't have to be IT related either. It could be anything. It could be anything, as long as it's relevant to other people that are following you or are looking at what you're doing. If that makes sense.
Okay. And then I want to go into transition into skills right now that people should be working on. If you know what, more like people, there's people trying to break into tech.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's people that were in tech and trying to get back in, and it's just been a long job gap. What would you say to them? You know, they putting up the applications, they're networking it, because certain markets are not as hot, you know, city locations, state locations, right, as other areas, right? So that's another uh factor, right? And then there's of course employment bias, right? And what I mean by that is like people probably think, oh, you were this, but you're applying for this. Why would you take this job if you're, sometimes you apply for a job because you're just trying to hit whatever job you can get, right? If it's tech related, right? So what would you say to that? And what changes can they make right now in the next 30 days?
Yeah, like this is what the mentee that I train, he went full throttle, by the way. He's just like he went like full David Goggins in the job market. It's like talking about like a year ago. So this is like a year ago, and the other guy that I trained did the same process, and he ended up getting a job too. So I told him, what do you want to do? He's like, oh, I want to do help desk IT support. Okay, that's fine with me. Let's talk about that. So do you have any certs? He said, I don't have any certs. All right, let's go do your A plus. So he got his A plus in November, passed the core 1 in November, passed the core 2 in December. Now he has the whole, because A plus is 2 exams. He got the A plus, and I'm like, okay, what are you gonna do? You have the A plus, but you have no experience. Well, let's get some hands-on experience. So then it was January. This was a 4-month process. It was in January. He started doing hands-on training, hands-on experience. So he learned about Active Directory, Intra ID, SSEM, learn about Intune, learn about MFA, MDM, learn about group policy, NTFS. So he got the hands-on experience. So he learned all that stuff, and then he put all the stuff he was doing on a Medium website because Medium is free. So it's similar to like GitHub or whatever. Like you could put something in there, right? So he ended up making a website with Medium, and I'm like, okay, you have all the relevant experience and training now. Like, let's fix your resume. They start applying for jobs. So February he applied for jobs, and he got 6 job offers. So he did 6 different job interviews, 6 different companies, and he ended up getting 6 different job offers. And he ended up getting a job after that, and he landed his first job in IT, and he's been there since last year, February. So he's been there for a year now. So that's the process he did. Obviously, it's different for everyone, but like he got a cert, he got hands-on experience, hands-on training, and then he fixed his resume and he started applying for jobs. What made him stand out from all the other candidates was that he had a Medium website, and that Medium website was on his resume. And he also had videos in there showing what he's doing, what he was working on. So when he went to the hiring manager, the one that was interviewing him, he actually showed him what he's been working on. He's like, oh, you know how to do that? Yeah. oh, I don't have to train you on that because you know how to do it already. That's awesome. And that impressed the hiring manager, and that's how he got his first job in IT.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're coming close to the, thank you for staying on as long as you can. Do you have any final suggestions for people getting out to tech? Then, circling back how they can reach out to you again, and any final thoughts?
Yeah. Like for me, IT people are still hiring in IT. It's like when you're applying for a job, or when you're brand new to IT, just brand new to IT. I always do like a reference of something. So I'm gonna my reference for IT or for from someone that's brand new to IT. IT is like boxing. IT is exactly like boxing. You apply for a job, you're gonna get rejected. You're gonna get hit a lot in the face, and you're gonna get knocked down a lot when you're applying for jobs. When you're brand new to IT, because you have no experience. So the people are like, "Why should I hire you? You have no experience." So what I tell everyone is like, no matter how many times you get hit, no matter how many times you get put on the floor, you can't give up. Don't give up. Just keep going. So that's like the mindset is very important. When you're brand new to IT, you're gonna get rejected a lot. And you're gonna be like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if you changed. I don't know if I picked the right career transition. That you start to doubt yourself. So you have to have really strong mindset that you're there to get a job. You're there to be positive, and no matter what happens, you're there 100% for everything. If that makes sense. So that's my advice for someone that's brand new to IT.
Okay. Well, this has been Sean with Sean's Tech Blog. I want to thank Kevin Apolinario for agreeing to do this. It's been a long time in coming. And I appreciate anybody for watching. Please subscribe, like, channel, trying to grow my YouTube channel. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording here.
Thanks.